I come from ancestors who was always in survival mode. We're just surviving to get by. Check to check. I don't even have time to thrive. They didn't have time to thrive. I feel like our generation is starting to take that precedence of thriving. I love culturally that we are trying to remove from that stigma of taking care of ourselves again, undoing that slave mentality. But again, when it comes to mental health, understanding with all of these things, and the world is our oyster essentially, but again, we still got to do the work. And a big piece of doing the work is not only within, but got to instill the you, the people behind you.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I am so excited for our topic today, where we're going to talk about self-care and just the importance of mental health, especially for the women of color. Our guest today is the owner-in-chief of, I always say it wrong, Vitality. Did I say it right? Okay, I'm like, I always say it wrong. Health and Wellness in Prince George County, Maryland. She leads a team of mental health clinicians and support staff, serving hundreds of clients annually. She served honorably as a captain in the United States Air Force, commanding a mental health flight and overseeing the care of service members and families. She's known for her energetic and compassionate approach with a commitment to empowering and uplifting women of color. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Dr. D. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited that you're here. Let me tell you guys that are listening, there would not be the Chiquita Mack without this woman. There wouldn't even be a master's degree.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
No, it's the truth without her. She took me under her wing and allowed me to do my hours with her. And I'll never forget when you told me, like, just make sure that, you give back, everything that I'm doing, you give back. And I've always kept that in my head as I continued my journey. So, I admire this woman. I love what she's doing. I watch her each and every day and I inspire to be like you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the encouraging words. But like I stated, you're just a breath of fresh air in your character and your energy. So, of course, I had to take you under my wing and look at you flourishing. I'm just so happy. What a circle moment to be on your show.
Yay, it's amazing. So she's the queen of self-care. If y'all don't know, like Dr. D gonna teach you about some self-care. And actually, when me and her did meet, I was like in the thick of my journey of all the drama and my healing journey. And she really taught me the importance of, well, first of all, what does that have to do with you? I remember she was like, what does it have to do with you? Think outside the box. And then the importance of taking care of yourself and putting that time and energy into you and working on your mental health. So I wanted you to start off this podcast today with sharing your rediscovery journey and what inspired you to do what you're doing today.
What inspired me to give back to my community and be a helping professional as a social worker was coming from a underserved community as a Black female, and my mom had limited resources. So we endured a lot of hardship because of it. I've seen a lot of hardship through my elders, and again, just wanting something different and going through the natural emotions I had, navigating through life, which led me to the field of social worker. And again, just helping those that are in need and giving back the way people helped me when I was that young Black girl coming up. So here I am with as a social worker, and the rediscovery part for me was going through the field of social work. As a fellow social worker, you and I both know we have to heal others, but a part of healing others is continually healing ourselves, right? As we heal others. And just as I, over the years, going into my practice and helping those in need, really helped me realize that being a social worker isn't just a one-to-one thing. It's a big cohesive thing, and it's a big communal thing, and the importance of community. So what the rediscovery of me was, when I met you, I was working at a federal organization, don't want to disclose where, but thought I found my way as a social worker and giving back to a population as such as myself as a veteran, but I still felt empty, 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 empty. And it felt like I still wasn't going back to that impact that I felt coming up, and those helping me. So that led me to start Vitality Health and Wellness Center on the side. I'm like, I need to create that safe space for Black and brown women because we don't have many spaces. So that was my rediscovery, investing in myself to invest in others through my organization, which led me to where I am now.
Which is amazing. And we need that. Like, just as women of color, finding someone that we can relate to, that understands our struggle, that understands our stories. There's not enough practices like this. And what you are doing, like I said, it's changing the game. It's changing the game of social work. And it's really showing like our community needs this. And yes, I'm going to niche down and I'm going to say for women of color, Black and brown women, because this is what we need. And that takes courage to do also,
A
especially
lot.
when you're stepping out into something new.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Shakita, it was a lot of naysayers within our own community. I remember having a colleague of mine asking me, "Well, this going to be my niche?" Because I was so excited about starting something that's going to be for me and for us. And I'm going to a fellow Black man telling them about my mission statement and what I'm going to do. Just so excited for the culture, right? And the impact. And you know what he told me? You don't think you're going to narrow your market just focusing on Black women, Black and brown women? And that right there made me realize in that moment that that is what I'm going to do. That right there, because we do not get the space that other counterparts get. And again, we are out here being trailblazers in so many ways, such as yourself, and wearing so many hats. And then for our a fellow Black man to tell me that, I knew vitality needed to be in our community.
Absolutely. I hate to say that, but it's almost, can't say always, almost our own kind that we struggle with. I got to the point to where I ain't telling everybody what I'm doing. I'm just going to show up and do it just because I don't need that negativity in my life. And oftentimes when we think we should get the support from those people that we like, oh yeah, they're going to support me 100%. They don't. Or they say stuff like, how your little business going? It's going good.
Exactly. And then that's the thing, back to community and finding your village. And when it's that, when it's that energy, I make sure I stay away from that energy. But I do align myself with like-minded people when it comes to being a Black woman, number one, being a business owner, right there as an
Yes.
entrepreneur comes with a lot of hardships. So I find myself in different pockets of people who do encourage me and I encourage them and just having that. But you're right, those other folks, and it might be our family and friends.
Yeah.
I mean, some other folks, I do tend to stay away from when I have my head down and ready to get through this journey.
Yes. You are just really setting the example. And I know I keep saying that, but it's important for people to know because in my eyes, so I look at your journey from my perspective, right? So when we first met, and yes, you were working at this organization. I'm like, wow, like even then I was like, oh my God, look at what she's doing. And I want to commend you for allowing yourself to recognize like I'm not fulfilled here and then doing it because we get to a certain part in our lives where we're comfortable. No, we're not fulfilled. We're still comfortable. And we can sometimes stay there. And you literally was like, nah, this is not it. Let me do this because I know it's a need. And not everybody does that. Like we just stay where we are. Like, I mean, it's easier to just be comfortable.
No, you're absolutely correct. But like you say, what inspired me and just going back to, like finding what fuels me. And again, what I was doing, it made me feel great, but I didn't feel enough. I still felt empty. So you're right, taking it step by step. People don't realize being an entrepreneur, your business isn't grown overnight. It takes steps, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes tenacity, it takes a lot of things.
Mm,
So people do not realize the behind the scenes of that process was me grinding 24/7 and getting what needs to get done. But you're right. I thought about it. If I'm giving 150% for an organization, 50 hours a week, how much can I give myself? And what more can I give myself outside of the time I do have space to do it? And that's what led me right there in that moment. I can invest time and energy in other people's space. I need to create a space for me and for us.
absolutely. Now, in saying that, like I mentioned before, you're the queen of self-care.
Yeah.
Okay. Like Dr. D gonna take a trip, y'all. Tell me how you realize that self-care is such an important part of your journey and how you incorporate that, because we're right, we're business owners, we're super busy. I ain't got time, I don't have time, but you find the time. How do you do that?
Well, let me tell you, it didn't just come overnight. It took me burning myself out and hitting the wall like many of us hit because we're managing so many things. So I can remember becoming so self-in tune to self-awareness when, again, back to grinding, running other people mental health organizations. And I'll go somewhere for a weekend. We go on a little trip. I'm gonna come back refreshed. You're more tired before when you left when you get back to work, right? And I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? I'm going to have a good time in Miami, turning over girls, doing this, doing that. And I'm still feeling depleted when I come back. And I had to do a self-assessment. Okay, I'm not this young 20-year-old I was in college that loved to be out there, ha ha ha. And I had the energy, I had the energy tank and capacity to do that. But where I am today, I'm not that. So taking that self-assessment, okay, instead of turning up, what do we need to start doing to feel differently? And I just started doing different things, just different things. Like you say, I was the queen of self-care and still am. I would take spa days, go to a local spa, and just relax and just center myself. Like, okay, that made me feel good. Now, what's my battery life now that I did that versus going hiking? What do I feel recharged? So just each activity I did, doing a self-assessment, did I feel recharged? Do I feel rejuvenated? Do I feel, full enough to go back and lead the work? Then I'm gonna keep on doing it. But then it's sometimes where certain things don't make me feel fueled anymore. So I am in the season of growth with my brand. So that caused me to be working longer hours
Mhm.
and things that will make me feel good, like going to, I love the beach. I love going on a plane and going somewhere real fast. That usually makes me feel good. But in this space and where I am, I don't have the time and energy to do it. So I've been thinking, what can I do locally to make me feel recharged? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go camping in the woods and just have some me time to sit back and reflect on all of this growth and the hard work I've been doing and giving myself space, right, to acknowledge the growth I've made. And that's a big part of the self-care part, right? Pouring back into
Right.
my claim so I could pour back into others in my organization. And then also, where am I a big part of self-care? What have I done well
Yeah.
in the midst of doing everything else? Because our brain tell us everything else we didn't do on our laundry list. But what did I get done?
Yes. So a lot of that y'all just heard Dr. D say is, one, being intentional about your actions. You're going to be intentional about the things that we do that makes us feel good. Then focusing on that self-reflection time, that time to really look at what am I doing well, and that gratitude and being thankful. Like, all of those things make up who we are and what we're doing, and really keying on that self-awareness piece of that. I mean, it's so important. One of the things you also said that I liked is that the things I used to do that no longer fulfill me. That's important. That's important to understand. Like, I used to love to do this, but I don't really like that no more. And that's okay. Let me switch to something that I absolutely like. Where am I at in this part of my journey? Where am I? I'm in the growth stage. I'm in the growth stage too, where for my growth stage, but I'm losing people that I thought would be here with me right now at this part in the Quita Mack journey. So it's like a lot of self-reflection on, well, why are they not here anymore? Maybe they're not supposed to be here. And really looking at my circle and being thankful for those that are with me and supporting me. So it's like we have to really take those times to self-reflect and understand where we are, how it works, and how it doesn't work. Like, it's okay to change our minds. And I think that's important to really stress, to say, like, it is okay for us to change our minds.
It is okay. And back to what you say, and that's changing our minds. Sometimes we lose the people we thought was like-minded in that season we were with them. Right. So that's the big thing. We have this whole self-awareness. Our journey is our journey, which does make us change and see things differently. But with that being said, a lot of the people who started this journey with me isn't there as well, because unfortunately I've outgrown them, or they see my new likes and dislikes and it doesn't align with them. And that is okay. Right. It still hurts. It's still lost. It's still all of those things, but we never make time to do that self-assessment. Back to the self-care. People think self-care is just all the feel goods
Your
and all
nails
the
balloon.
nails, hair lashes, like all of that is great. But self-care is that internal core that makes us us and human in the loss you've just experienced and I've experienced in this last year as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be talking to Charles about it. I'm like, dude, what? Peter, you outgrown them. It's okay. And I'm like, gosh, really though? Did I? He's like, yes, you did.
Yes, and but then too, Shakira, why do we feel bad about outgrowing people? There's that too, because that your viewers can know I just celebrated my 40th in the biggest way in December, and when I tell you, I told God, and my prayer for the year was prepare me for this new season you're about to put me in, and let me be okay with the things and people that no longer serve you. Me and you ultimately, God.
Yep.
When I tell you, I had a lot of loss these past 10 months sitting with myself, but I had to remember what I asked for this.
Mhm.
Because I know I have to grow. We have to change.
Yeah.
But sometimes we try to hold on to things and people that isn't meant to go on the next season with us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad you do. We still gotta talk about it and see it through. But again, packing back into ourselves because of that.
Yeah. Definitely there. Definitely going through, definitely writing. I love writing. You know, I like writing,
Yeah.
girl. Definitely journaling
I'm not
it.
the writer. I'm not the
Yeah.
writer. I'm the talker. You see me talking to myself or saying something. People, why you talking to my mom? Just talking to myself. Like, yeah, that's me. I'm the talker and all of that. But no, yeah, journaling is a great practice.
Yeah, just to get it out because it is. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm doing a lot of reflection and I'm very happy where I'm at. And when I look back and I read my past journals, I'm like, oh Lord, I'm so happy I am where I am
Exactly.
today. Because even when I started with you, working with you, I did not see myself here today. I didn't because I was in such a foggy place, I guess you can say, and I really had to do a lot of work on myself to get me here. And so, yeah, so now that I'm here and like I said, the people I thought would be here, I'm just like, oh, they're not even. Well, okay, well, that's fine. That's not where I'm supposed to be. I know where I'm going. I know exactly where I'm headed. I'm really clear on that, like my goal and what I want to do. And it is what it is. So we're just going to keep pushing through and trusting the process and the journey and trusting all the things that got me to where I am today.
Yes, yes. And packing back into yourself, pouring it back into yourself some type of way.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to talk about mental health overall for a second because in our culture, African American women, I think it's changing. I think it's changing. I think we're talking about it more now. But for a while there, it was seen as like, don't go tell people your business. Why are you talking to people? Telling them what's going on, like, the Black girl syndrome, the Black woman syndrome, I would call it. In what ways have you seen it change over the years?
Good question. Let me just tell you, I'm from that era. I look young, but I'm still from that era where we were taught that your business stays in the house. You're not supposed to fall apart in public or even around your spouse or partner. We always got to keep it packed together. So historically, you and I both know it's generational trauma. It
Mhm.
comes from our lineage, from our ancestors. We were slaves. We're not too far removed from slavery.
Right.
So, with that being said, our ancestors have a slavish mentality where we endure hardships and suffering, and you're not supposed to take care of yourself, right? We
Mhm.
weren't taught self care. Self care was you taking care of your family and then you going out to work for as much hours and then come back and do it again, right?
Yep.
And then you go to church and pray for strength and all of those things, and then start it all
All over
over
again.
all
Yep.
over again. So that comes from our ancestors and pouring that onto us. And I know one thing I've learned through doing the work with Black women in our community, and as a Black woman myself, I've learned that our moms teach us how to be women. They teach us how to be them, right? So they don't do the nurturing like other cultures do. They may nurture our Black sons, the Black boys, and the young men, but for a Black woman and their daughter, or I'm teaching you how to do the same, endure all the same strength I have, and trying to show you the same way to demonstrate it. But with that being said, we come from, I know myself, I come from ancestors who was always in survival mode. They were just surviving. We're just surviving to get by. Check to check. I don't even have time to thrive. They didn't have time to thrive. I feel like our generation is starting to take that precedence of thriving, right?
Wow.
Because a lot of us are seeking higher education because we come from those hardships and we want more for ourselves. And when we do have families and our kids, so we are attaining degrees, starting businesses, doing these things, but we're also trying to learn that balance.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it wasn't shown to us. We were trying to figure it out. Figure it out over the years of getting burnt out, right? That I figured it out. So we're starting to, do the spa trips, do the Black girl trips together, do the, like I'm loving all of these things. And the new generation, the 20-year-old teens and all of that, they are already coming out the gate with self-care, still these things, right? But and I love that for them, but they have to realize that the newer generation, you all are charged with setting the precedents for future generations to come, right? So yes, you all can get out here and do great things because of those who had to go through the thrust of survival for you to thrive. That's what these young women don't
Don't
realize.
get. Yep.
Your ancestors, your mom, your aunties, aunts, all grandmothers, they had to survive so you can now thrive. But in the new space of mental health, they are doing that by going to therapy. It's a big thing now, which I love for us. I love culturally that we are trying to remove from that stigma of taking care of ourselves again, undoing that slave mentality. Love it. They are doing it. They're starting businesses. I love all of these things for our people. But again, when it comes to mental health, understanding with all of these things, life is in the world is our oyster essentially. But again, we still got to do the work. And a big piece of doing the work is not only within, but like I instilled in you, the people behind you.
Yes.
Behind you. So I'm hoping that people are going into these spaces of mental health to not only, again, work on the things from that generational trauma that a lot of us come to the table with, start unpacking that to attain all these things, but not just for self, but for people to come.
Yes, absolutely. And that's like I told you, that your voice is like always in my head. It's like I'm setting an example for other people, for others behind me, for my daughter, even like talking to her about, we're breaking the curse and, how do you feel? What do you feel? How do you feel? What do you
It's
know,
okay
we can
to
cry
feel.
hard.
It's okay to feel. It's
Yes.
okay to feel.
Yeah. But in doing that, I see it in her because because we have our days where we're just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Or you say something negative, she'll be like, that was not positive, mom. Like, let me get myself together. But it's important that I instill that in her. And it's also important, even for Trey, on the male side of that, is to instill that mental health part into him, because for him, as a Black male, they have their own
Tell me about it.
stigmas and things like that. And of course, too, with your son. So it's just talking to him about stuff that's happening in the world and how do you feel about that? And did you hear about that? And what you gonna do if this happened? Tell me, talk to me about it. I think it's important that we have all those conversations because we are, like you said, it's for those that are coming behind us and they're coming out the gate ready, but they have to understand the world, unfortunately, is the world.
It's a different world than what we had too with social media. Again, it's making them hungry and wanting to get it, but it's also a flip side of that where they are constantly comparing themselves, or we're constantly in comparison to people we see in imagery, but we don't know the background behind that. Number one. Number two, I know for my son, I worry about with him, his ability to thrive, right? I'm worried about him being a perfectionist because of that. Because he wants to get everything right, right? And having those conversations with him that, hey, you're human. It's okay to want a break and need a break and put it, like, again, seeing what's in our community and our kids, our children, our families, and having those conversations emotionally, mentally about mental health and what it is to be wealthy. And it's not just financially wealthy.
Yeah.
creating that safe space. We have to create a safe space.
It's important. It's important that they see it. And like, I was thinking about Trey, like he's had such a transition. I told you I switched his schools because he was really, really going through and felt that if he made a mistake there, I won't say the school, but if he made a mistake there, they didn't necessarily forgive. Like, oh, well, you did this. This is going to carry you all the way through, to the point to where he was like extremely stressed out, like losing his hair, like just mentally not there. And he's like, Mom, I need a different scenery. Like I have to go somewhere else where I feel like my voice is heard, for one, and that if I do make a mistake, I know I'm supposed to learn from it, but it's not always held over. And I'm like, all right, too easy. Like, what we gotta do? Like, it was not even a thought, like, no, you're gonna push it through. You're gonna blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, my child is telling me that he's mentally not feeling it. And so as a parent, I have to ensure that he's in the right environment to thrive, which he is now, by the way. Homeboy is killing it.
Right.
Let me say that.
Lovely for him and you both, the two of you as parents. But you're right. But look at the blessing in that, Shakita, back to what you said about mental health in our Black and Brown communities. You taught him how to advocate for himself, number one, and connect his needs and emotions in a proper way.
Yeah.
He connected it and he presented it to you. And by all means, that's how it should be. Back to our kids being able to thrive because we are coming out of that survival to thrival mentality. And you're teaching him that by role modeling and then instilling.
Absolutely. Yes. And again, I learned it all from you.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach mine the same thing. And then back to the self-care. Back to the self-care. Yeah. What are you doing to take care of yourself? So
Yes. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Dr. D, you've been amazing being a part of the podcast and just sharing your journey. And I want to thank you for that. I want you to tell the listeners where they can find you and your practice, and if you guys are accepting new clients right now.
Vitality Health and Wellness. You can find us at www.Vitality Health and Wellness Group. We're located in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and we are opening up a second location. I haven't been able to share this with you, but I'm sharing it with you on your amazing show. We're opening up a second location in Laurel, starting the 1st January 2025. And we are always accepting clients in our door. We see Black and Brown women primarily, but we open to all. And also, I'm starting to realize, Shakita, the big need in the military and veteran community. So that's the second big part of our population is veterans and or current active duty members. So they can find us again, Vitality Health and Wellness Group. And look us up on social media, and we're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. And yes, there is a need for us soldiers still, because we're going through a lot. We go through a lot, and trying to change that stigma. It's changing a little bit, but not as quickly as I think it should. So yes, thank you for that. I'm excited about, okay, another project. I'm so excited.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, you
Yeah.
be invited to the grand opening,
Yes,
but
I'll
I
be
am
there.
so proud of you and the work you are doing and spreading the word through your beautiful podcast, your beautiful spirit. And again, I am elated to be a part of it.
Thank you. And again, like I said, you're one of my mentors. I always speak highly of you. I'm actually trying to send 2 people your way for internships.
Listeners, we are taking interns. Let me put that plug in there. And like I told you before, it's about paving the way. So we are a training institute. So that will give me space for that as well. So more to come when it comes to training workshops. But yes, any interns or people interested in the field, please reach out
Yes.
station and let them know you heard me on the podcast and you're interested.
Please. I got you, Dr. D.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that bell and make sure you subscribe. And if you are listening wherever you stream your podcast, make sure you drop that review. All right, guys, until next time.